Hello, hi, my name is Sid. I'm from Sid's Wood Shack. This is behind me. It's where I do my wood crafting, woodworking, whatever else I like to fiddle around with. If you're a young person between the ages of, let's say 10, maybe 16, and you have never started a woodcraft project, I'm going to show you how to do it. It's very easy. I'll show you how to set up a wood shop as a young person, maybe some projects that you can do that are very inexpensive, and what basic tools you'll need to get the ball rolling. So come on into my workshop and let's explore a little bit, okay? If I'm setting up a wood shop, let's say I'm a young person, 13, 14, 15 years old, maybe 20, 21, and never have done it. One thing I know I'm going to need in a wood shop, besides some of the basic tools, some of the basic safety equipment, maybe a jigsaw for cutting your wood, and a drill maybe to help get the wood in the screws in the wood. You're going to have to determine what type of screws to use. There in front of me I have four basic type of screws. The first one is a very popular one. It's called a Phillips head, and the Phillips head is like a cross on the front of the head of the screw. I'm going to show you a close-up in just a moment on this. So that's a Phillips head. Then the least favorite of all is the regular slot or flat head. That's just got one slot across. It's very hard to use a screwdriver to really dig into the wood, and you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. And then what I think is one of the best type out here is a square head. Again, I'm going to put some screws in here. I'm going to take the camera and show you exactly what these look like, so we'll go over them again. That's a square head. And then if you're building a deck or maybe have some kind of a large piece of large project you're working on, here is a diamond head. And I have a big box of these, and inside the box of screws also came a bit to fit it. And so that fits on there real well. All I got to do is put this on my drill. I can go for it. So let's take a look at this for a minute. Here's a piece of oak. Here's some pine right here. So I'm going to test this on both type of woods to see which is best. If I need to drill a pilot hole, I do have a small drill bit here, and we'll see how it works with or without a pilot hole. So let me see, let me take this right here and put in a bit. I'm going to start off with the Phillips head, and let's see how it works. Let me start way over here. You see here jumping a little bit. That's because it's losing contact there. So now, that was pretty hard even with the Phillips head. Now I'm going to take a flat one. Here I've got a flat bit here, and see how this works right here. Let's just take a look at this. See, that's very clumsy. That's very hard. So sometimes to really get it going better, you could even take a hammer, pop the top a little bit, get that in there a little bit. Now let's see if this works any better. I don't think it will. Well, there it goes. Kind of hard to maneuver though. Okay. Okay. So again, the flat is the least of my favorite. I like the Phillips head the best. Most of the screws I use are Phillips. Now let's go to this one here. Let me see. I have a square tip here. I do like the square tip the best. Here's a square. Let's see if this is the right size. Perfect. Okay, let's take a look at this. Now I don't work for DeWalt. I don't work for Ryobi, as in this nice cordless screwdriver or drill. And I don't need a chuck for this. It just twists and it tightens. Now, here's one that's fully square. Push it down. Watch this. That seems like that's the easiest and the best of all so far. But then let's see what this does here with our star tip. Again, you might want to use this if you're building a deck. This is about a 2.5 inch screw. So let's see what happens here. Look at this. Okay, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Now let's try all 4 of these in the pine and see how that works. That was oak. Let me start back over here with my Phillips head. Still jumping on me. So what I'm going to do, let me do this. I'm going to drill a pilot hole. A pilot hole is a hole that helps loosen the wood up a little bit and helps make that screw go down a little bit easier. There we go. There we go, look at that. Your pilot hole ought to be somewhat smaller than the drill itself, or the screw itself. Now let's see if it jumps now, okay? Going back to the Phillips head with a pilot hole. Well, a little bit, but not near as much. Perfect. Okay, now let's turn it over and do a flat, again in the pine. Here we go. I just don't like these flat screws right here with the slots. They just don't work very well at all. See, I'm going to have to pop this with a hammer. Or better yet, let's try a pilot hole on this. See if it helps it out. Just right here, next to it. Alright, now let's try it again. Okay. So now I can set that in the hole a little bit. Ooh. Lot better with that pilot hole. Lot better. Okay, now we're going to try the square tip in pine. And I get a feeling it's going to go right through and pretty well do it. So let's try it. See that? Again, much better through pine. And then if you have the diamond tip for these larger screws that again could be used for decks or some other large project. Whoops. And I don't want to go into my bench. There you go. So I tell you what, let me put some more screws down here, and I'll show you what the top of these each look like. All right. Maybe you've never done this before. Maybe you want to set up a shop. You'll need different kind of screws. I recommend Phillips head or the square tips. The square tip is much more expensive. You would see if you went to the store to buy them, they are more expensive. But you got 4 parts of that drill bit hitting this or pulling on it, and you also have 4 with this. The flat ones you only have 2, and then the star driver you have quite a bit more, and you'll see that in just a moment. Okay, so here's the top of each of these screws. There's your Phillips head. You need a driver like that to go in your drill. On the reverse side of this piece, this little driver here, I do have a flat tip or flat slot. That would be for that one. And again, you see the difference between that screw and that screw. A lot more connecting points, and it's much more secure driving it down in. This is harder. And the next style over is your square tip. See that square? Let's see, let me get some light on this. Get at an angle, complete square, and you would need a driver for your drill bit. Let me see here. that looks like this. There you go. That goes in there. Now there's different size squares, so you'll need to get the right one. But if you bought a box of these, it probably has a tip like this in it, so you can put it in your drill. Then the final one for those larger projects like decks and all would be the star tip. See that? See all the connecting points? That's probably the best of all. But again, these get very expensive. I think a box of 1,000 that my son bought last year was like $85, something like that. And that box did come with a tip, and that tip is still in my drill. There it is right there. There's a square, or your star driver right there. So you have your Phillips, your flat, you have your square, and then you got your star. There it is right there. Oh, there's a good picture of it right there. Then there's that pilot hole. Sometimes you want to drill pilot holes, and it already makes that wood loose, and you can go in. Just make sure that pilot hole is a little bit smaller than the drill itself, or the bit itself rather, or the screw. Anyway, sorry for the mumbling. No doubt a professional could have done this better, but I wish you the best of all luck in your new wood shop, and I recommend getting this. Get 1-inch screws, 1.5 inch, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, maybe even a 1 1/4. So I've got a little bit of all that in my shop for various reasons and purposes and projects. Take care now.